Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 256 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 22nd, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? Yeah, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty well. Taught a course today out in the field, blew some stuff up, explained explosion phenomenology to folks. It was a really good time. Dealing with rain lately. April showers do bring May flowers, I am told. So hopefully rain will clear up and we'll be able to do some more cool testing for you guys very soon. I have quite the backlog. So actually, this gave me a little bit of time. As promised, today we are delivering our 9mm MP5 suppression research supplement. That's right. This is exclusively for Pew Science members. So around 0700 Central Time or so, we'll publish the report for members and send out our newsletter, letting you folks know it is there on the website. A lot of great information in this report if you are interested in how the MP5 actually sounds when suppressed. Do you care about tone? Probably. Yeah. So the report will help you understand tone of silencers in great detail. If you are not a Pew Science member, there is a free preview to the article that will be on the website as well. So you can kind of peruse that and see if you're interested in it. Maybe you join, maybe you don't, but it is there. So I'm going to give a quick talk about that report on today's episode. It contains very in-depth signature information on the Cat Mob, the Dead Air Wolfman, GSL Phoenix, HUXWRX Catch 9K, the Otter Creek Labs Lithium, PTR, Vent 2, and the Resilient RS9, all on the MP5. You're going to see first round pop, tone, and all kinds of stuff. Probably the most in-depth signature analysis you've ever seen anywhere in the world. So that's there for Pew Science members. Also today, listener questions. Yeah, I mean, why not? I feel like we got in a rhythm last time and we ran the clock out. So we're going to dive back in today, pick up where we left off. Should be a good time. Okay. Now on with the show. I do want to let you know that if you've been here before, we're so glad to have you back. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. We are glad to have you. We're going to talk about silencers, and it's going to be fun. There are timestamps in the episode description. If you're listening on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or on the website or wherever you're listening, there are always timestamps where you can skip to your desired topics to listen. Okay? I'm going to tell you about some sponsors right now. I'm going to make this quick because this needs to be a quick episode because frankly, it's been a long day and we just need to cut to the chase. So I'm just going to briefly mention the sponsors that make this podcast possible. First of all, we're sponsored by Legion Athletics. If you work out and you need supplements because you can't eat perfectly, or maybe you just want to enhance your performance in a legal, healthy way, Legion Athletics can help you with that. Pre-workout, post-workout, whey protein, creatine, all kinds of awesome stuff. Code word Pew Science to save 20% off of your first order at legionathletics.com. We are sponsored by Silencer Shop. That's right, largest silencer distributor in the known universe. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. We're sponsored by Top Gun Range Houston. It's probably one of the coolest gun stores in Texas and definitely one of the coolest shooting range. It's indoor, 15 lanes, largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas, which is nuts because you know how much we like our guns here in Texas. Yeah, no, but we do. TopGunRange.com. Kyle and his crew are awesome. We're sponsored by Capital Armory. Did you know that? We are. They also sell silencers. Are you sensing a theme? We don't sell silencers, but all these people do. Capital Armory can send silencers directly to your door. Yeah, legally. It's crazy. If you live in one of the states where silencers are legal, and there's 42 of those, so please order the silencer sitting on your couch and then have that silencer delivered to your living room. You don't have to leave the house. If you're a shut-in, weirdos, go buy silencers. You're great. Also, the Pew Science Laboratory sponsors this podcast. Did you know that? We do. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we have chosen to continue to sponsor this podcast and run a public research effort that pushes the silencer industry forward one test at a time. The research supplement that we're publishing today for members, I do believe contributes to the industry in a positive fashion. I would venture to guess there are no silencer enthusiasts that would find it uninteresting. So, tell your friends, Pew Science is the home of the Silencer Sound Standard. There's 7 sections. It contains the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world. You can support this podcast. You can support Pew Science and all the public testing we do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. You get access to cool research like what we're publishing today, and you keep the lights on. You help us keep doing this, and that is really appreciated. I'm telling you, it's so hard, but it's so cool because all you help. And you know what? If you don't want to pay a monthly fee for stuff, it's not that much money, but if you don't like subscriptions and you just want to give like a one-time donation, you can do that too. You don't get access to anything by doing it. You just, it's just goodwill. And that's cool too. Some of you folks do that, and that's really nice of you. And if you don't want to donate anything, or you don't want to spend anything at all, and you just want to read, and you're like, get out of my face with that money stuff in this economy, I say no problem. Just spread the word and let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Okay, so we're going to go again in two topics today. First, we're going to talk about the quietest silencers on the 9mm MP5, which is pretty much awesome. And then we're going to go into listener questions, okay? All right, let's go into topic 1 at a time of 6 minutes and 14 seconds. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, one moment. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't tell you guys. I just got a Knights Armament QD-SS NT4. We tested that back in. Oh man, I'm gonna look at I know you want to hear about the MP5, but 1 second. Let me look on our website and see when we tested the Knights. NT4 search Google. Boom, boom. Click on that. Let's see. The date of that technical report was June 16th, 2022. That's crazy. So about 3 years ago, we published our Knights Armament NT4 research article, and boy, oh boy, was that controversial. Mainly because a lot of people who buy Knights Armament things are clinically insane, myself included. But yeah, we did publish that article, and so but the silencer we tested back then in 2022, we used Pew Science member funding to do it. We actually tested it. It was on loan from T-Rex Arms, if you know that company. It was Lucas, the owner of T-Rex Arms, or the CEO or whatever he is. The founder of T-Rex Arms. It was his personal silencer we tested. So I never had one of these. I always saw them. I thought they were cool. I'd shot them before. And so I finally, I kind of just bought one, and I bought it from Solid Rooftop Defense. Hell of a guy. Shipped it really quick too. This approval times. I mean, I know it's a Form 3, but I got it like a day. Crazy. And he gave me ramen noodles. Anyway, I was just looking at it. I got a black one, as is tradition, and it's really cool. This has nothing to do with the MP5, but if you're in night stuff, they're making these again, and I think you should pick one up if you're into night stuff, because they exist, and they're not cheap, but it's Inconel, old, and I think I should do another episode on it just to talk about it. We're going to test it with the triple tap, by the way, the new Inconel 3D printed triple tap. We'll test that, and we'll test the NT4 PRG as well. Okay. Just wanted to tell you about that really quick. Topic 1, Member Research Supplement 6184, the quietest 9mm silencers on the MP5. Okay. We are very pleased to finally have finished this publication for you Pew Science members. I told you about it a couple weeks ago. I felt guilty that I hadn't finished it, but we're done with it, and it has detailed loudness and tone comparisons. Okay, and you get to see how the Cat Mob, the Dare Wolfman, and the long and short configurations, the GSL Phoenix, the HUXWRX Cache 9K, the Otter Creek Labs Lithium, the PTR Vent 2, the Resilient RS9, all of those things head to head on the MP5 platform. So who comes out on top is the question, and how? Well, you already know from the suppression rating, but do you? Do you know how they come out on top? You should read the article. And it took a little while to do it. I really want to thank you for all your support. So thank you specifically to Pew Science members for your support, your monetary support. We could not do this without you. And again, because you help us monetarily, this article is only for you. So Cool, right? And remember, if you're not a member of Pew Science, that's okay. Don't be sad. You can join anytime you want on the website. And if you can't do that right now for whatever reason, it's of course just fine. Maybe someday you will be able to, which would be nice of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the general public a description of what's in the report. Okay, so think about it like this. Like, have you ever been looking to buy a silencer and you've heard some people describe how it sounds, but you aren't quite sure if they're shooting you straight? You know what I mean? Like, or maybe they aren't using words that really describe something in a useful way to you. Maybe they're just using words that aren't real. Or maybe you're trying to compare a bunch of different silencer models, but all the people you're talking to or reading reports from and experiences of they're all using different weapons. That doesn't help anyone, right? It's hard to make sense of it all. It can be really confusing because everyone might be using different ammo or guns, or heck, the people you're looking to for advice might even be shooting the silencers in different environments. Changing everything, right? You don't know. The random people on the internet. You don't know, or maybe your buddies, or maybe they're not your buddies. I don't know. It's pretty tough to deal with all of this uncertainty. I mean, I feel like that, and I feel like I know silencers pretty good, So all of those uncertainties are some of the reasons why we use the suppression rating here at Pew Science. It creates a level playing field for the silencers. And in research reports like this, we actually go a little bit further. And by a little bit further, I mean a lot of bit further. So have you ever heard someone say they like the tone of a silencer? They might say it has a deep tone or a pleasant tone. Yeah, us too. We've heard that. And that can be really neat. So what about a silencer that sounds sharp or harsh or maybe even boomy? Yeah, we've heard those words too. So those can be used to describe some silencers for sure. In this research, we literally quantify all of this for you. Okay, so when it comes to suppressing the MP5, there are levels to the game. We took all the MP5 tests published by Pew Science and we did an extremely in-depth signature analysis of all of the data to show you exactly what most people will hear when they listen to them. Like when they listen to these silencers being shot on an MP5, or maybe if they shoot them on an MP5 themselves. Okay? And so this is, we believe, the closest you're going to get to shooting all of these silencers side by side on an MP5 other than doing it yourself. Okay? It's pretty cool. You simply cannot get data like this anywhere. And we're very happy to provide it for you. And those of you who've been following the MP5 research will probably get a lot out of this because you'll get to see the particulars, the good, the bad, the ugly. Oh. And a cool thing you'll get to see is first round pop at the muzzle and ear and how it stacks up across the models. So like usually you don't get the first round pop comparison between models. You're getting that in this. In these research supplements. That's very common to get in the research supplements for members, so that's really important to a lot of people. So you're getting that here. So we included 8 configurations in this research report. You have the Cat Mob, the Long and Short Wolfman, the GSL Phoenix, the HUXWRX Cache 9K, the Otter Creek Labs Lithium, the PTR Vent 2, and the Resilient RS9. Okay, so there's a lot of data, and this might be the biggest one of these supplements we've done. Given how many silencers are in it, comparing 8 at once is pretty hard, but we have the technology, don't we? We have the technology. We have PewSoft. We have some engineering calculation grit. We have effort. We have the rigor. We gave this one the old college try. Okay, I think you'll like it. If you're interested in what silencers actually sound like compared to one another, this research report may be for you. And you got to think, well, does flow rate influence tone? And does back pressure influence things to the shooter in different ways? And, all of these questions and more will be answered. No, but yeah, please check out the research. If you're a member, it's for you. You may as well, So, again, on the website, there's a public article preview. Again, that's not the full report. The preview. It's just general stuff folks should know. You probably already know. A lot of the stuff in that article preview, you've read it on our website before. That's just the intro to reiterate these points for everyone. Members, as always, get the full thing. For the price of a cup of coffee, you too can read the most in-depth MP5 signature study ever published. I think it's worth it. Heck, it's probably cheaper than a cup of coffee now with inflation, right? Because I think the value of the dollar has dropped so much. We haven't raised our membership fees. Maybe we should. 5 years ago, what'd you get for, how much does it cost? I don't remember. Hold on a second. What's our lowest tier? $7.95. Yeah, $8. What was $8 5 years ago compared to now? Still $8, dude. Can you even get Starbucks for that now? I'm kidding. I'm not trying to turn this into a sales pitch, but it's worth it. Have fun. If you like subguns, have fun. Read it. I hope you find it informative. I love suppressed 9mm subguns. Who doesn't? As silencer consumers, who doesn't, right? Okay, so thanks for your support, ladies and gentlemen. Sincerely, couldn't do this without you. Okay, so please, if you're a member and you read it, please report back and let me know if it's useful. Let me know if it helps. I hope it does. Okay, this is for you. Let's do something more productive now. Topic 2, listener questions at a time of 16 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay, yeah, this is probably what most people would want to listen to instead of me trying to sell you something. No, I'm not. I'm telling you, if you're, guys, like seriously, like if you're a member of Pew Science, please read that research article for the MP5. Like, if I know a lot of you are like, I've heard this silencer has a good tone. It's like, well, put your money where your mouth is, I say. And then, if you're making silencers, and if you want to talk about tone, well, we'll see. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that's not true. Sometimes it is, and so I like to look at the quantitative data to prove that to myself. And sure enough, that's what we did. So what we're going to do here in this topic, listener questions, they're back. We hit this last time. The 7th solicitation is pretty big. I figure if we don't hit these more often, we're never going to finish it. Okay, so we're going to continue where we left off. Let me open the spreadsheet. Okay, it'll be cool. We'll answer a few, and maybe this podcast will only be half an hour today. Who knows? I figure we do enough of these. Sometimes I need a little bit of a break. All right, last time on listener questions. Oh, can't look at that when it's too small. One moment. Okay, last time on listener questions, we left off on question 557, local question 55 of this solicitation. And the question was, Pew Science merchandise when? Let us rep and support you more, please. And again, I appreciate that question, sir. That means a lot. I went on to answer that and say, yeah, we'll eventually probably do that, but we're not doing that right now. We're more of a test lab, and we're not really into the swag stuff. But we did make some stickers. We just haven't given to any. I haven't given those to anyone but my family. Maybe we'll sell them or something. I think that would be nice. Sticker packs. I don't know. So let's dive into the new questions here. Question 558. Sub-question 56. How does powder burn rate affect muzzle and port signature, assuming the same muzzle velocity? That's actually a really good question. Wow, this person is like, he's even given constraints. He or she, I'm going to assume he, let's be honest. Let me read it again. How does powder burn rate affect muzzle and port signature? Okay, that's a question. That's a good question. But this gentleman is qualifying it, assuming same muzzle velocity. And when he says muzzle velocity, he's actually talking about the projectile, not the gas velocity. He's talking about the muzzle velocity of the bullet as it uncorks. What does burn rate do? Okay. Yeah. So this is actually not that complicated, but we'll talk through it. So I think that probably, sir, let's talk about this in general terms. So the less combustion gas volume you generate, the less byproducts you need to trap, right? In a silencer. So, the less combustion byproduct you generate, the less you need to trap, the less you need to expand, the less you need to cool for your particular barrel length, for your particular bore diameter, and your projectile. So I think you, like in your quest, because you're saying, assuming that you're saying muzzle velocity, I think maybe you can focus on having the least combustion gas volume necessary to generate the muzzle velocity you need. So how do you do that? So that would probably mean the faster your propellant burns is better, I think. And why? I think that's because the faster your propellant's burning, the faster you reach peak pressure. And that means that at the muzzle, where it counts for you for suppression, I think you have lower pressure at the muzzle then. And then, therefore, you would have less gas mass or volume, like less moles of gas at the muzzle with more complete combustion, right? I think. So if your propellant instead burns slower, you're going to need more of it. And what's that going to do? Well, that's going to mean that you have higher pressure at the muzzle, and then what's that going to mean? Well, that means you have more mass of gas and you have more volume. Okay, so then probably slower powders are louder, and then probably also have more flash and probably more first round pop even, right? I would think that. I haven't done controlled experiments with this, but I'm just going off of like how stuff burns. So I think probably the higher sustained pressure in a barrel from slower burning propellants, I would think it would also increase ejection port blast, all other things equal, I would think. I don't know. Probably. I think that's my answer for that. I think you're probably going to make ejection port blast more severe too. So this is like, what are you loading your own AR ammo? I mean, you might be. Because you asked about how does powder burn rate affect muzzle and port signature. So, you know what? Maybe you're shooting 300 blackout. And you're reloading or something. Or 6 arc or something. Oh, you know what? You're probably one of those people. Maybe 8.6 or something. I don't know what you're doing. Because no one like reloads 5.56. No, that's not true. I have a colleague. He's actually a combustion physicist, and he reloads he only shoots like 20-inch barrel AR-15 unsuppressed, and he reloads all of his 5.56, but he's a lunatic. He's a lunatic, but he's cool. Anyway, yeah, that's my answer. So I think that if okay, sir, if you do have to use a slower burning powder, you're really gonna need a high performance silencer that's really good at taming first round pop. Okay, because your ammo is you're at a disadvantage with your ammo type. Okay, now another thing you could do is use a longer barrel length, or both, but probably. But also you probably need to tune your gas system. I think your gas system tuning would probably be even more important with a slower burning powder too. Okay, so this is like, you guys see, like, okay, so I hope, first of all, sir, thank you for asking that question. It's awesome. Second of all, I hope it helped. Third of all of you other people listening that didn't wonder this, you see why reloading's hard. Okay, question 500. No, it's good though. It's good to ask the questions. Question 559, sub-question 57. Do you think Flowtech will replace traditional baffle silencers, or has it already? Flowtech. Oh boy, you're pushing my buttons, sir, ma'am. You say Flowtech. I'm going to call it what you're saying. Let's pretend you're saying flow through. You might not be, but let's just pretend you are. So my answer is, I don't think flow through technology is going to replace traditional baffle silencers. No, I don't think that. Okay, so I'm asking that in a literal. I'm answering that in a literal sense. Now, I do think that hybrid designs that bring the best of both worlds may, in fact, replace a lot of traditional silencer designs. I do think that. I mean, look, as with anything, as soon as an industry figures out how to do something better, people follow suit, right? I mean, yeah, you saw that with curved cone baffles after the Omega baffle was created. You see it with annular space after you saw it in popular subgun silencers a long time ago. I think you saw some things in CGS designs for a while that worked their way into a lot of major brands like Dead Air and Silencer Co. You know that there's like Dead Air silencers and Silencer Co. silencers that wouldn't exist without the CGS designs. You know that, right? Like, I'm sorry if you don't think that's true, but it is. I think now you're seeing hybrid designs take shape on a lot of different design vectors, and everything from SIG to B&T. I mean, you name it, dude. They're all doing things a little differently now. I think HUXWRX is still doing their flow-through thing in honestly a pretty advanced way, and I think they're probably getting copied by some people here and there. You know, I see some things in some of the smaller manufacturers that fly under the radar. When I go to gun shops across the country, I see some stuff. Whenever I take a trip, I go into a gun store just because they don't know who I am, because I don't like plaster my face everywhere online. So like I can kind of be stealth and just walk into a gun store and like see what's going on and like talk to people about silencers without them knowing who I am, which is awesome. And then I see stuff that's out there that's like so blatantly like copying other stuff, but it's still cool to see it. That's tradition, right? That's like the silencer industry. So I'm looking at it. It's interesting to see. It's really hard for folks to be original when they're constantly seeing everything around them on social media. I don't know how silencer designers like okay, like in my career as an engineer, when I've designed things, of course I'm seeing how other engineers design things. Like that's like, that's what engineers do. Like you're going to reinvent the wheel all the time? Well, no. But silencers are kind of, it's sort of like in some ways, and it's just as much an art as it is a science in some ways. And I would imagine it's pretty hard to ignore what you've seen. So I don't lambast people for, having inspiration. I just think there's a lot of blatant ripoffs too. You know what I mean? You gotta look at it both ways. I think there's something to be said for working independently and forging your own path on stuff. That's kind of my long answer on this. I think in general my answer is no about so-called flow tech replacing traditional baff. I don't think so. I think things are just going to continue to advance, and you're seeing that right now. That's what I think. I think design evolution is accelerating, so that's pretty cool and exciting. Okay, I know that's maybe that's a strange way to answer that question, sir, man, but I hope that helps. Okay, question 560, sub-question 58. What is your deal with helicopters? Did you lose your first love in a helo accident? 1 second. Okay, that's funny. No, but this later gentleman is asking. The reason they're asking this question is because, like, on social media, when I'm just messing around, which like I'm usually just messing around, like on the Instagram, I'll post like a story, usually jokes and stuff, because I like memes and jokes. Unless I'm talking about Pew Science, I'm just usually just joking, and I've just. It's become a meme where it's like when I see a helicopter crash or whatever, I'll just pretend like they're not real because I don't think helicopters are good, and that's what they're talking about. So it's not that I really don't think they're good. I mean, I've written in helicopters, I've shot from helicopters. I think they're kind of cool, like from an engineering standpoint. I just think they're really complicated, and it's not that fixed wing aircraft aren't complicated. I'm not saying that. I just think helicopters are more complicated. And you keep an airplane in the air by making it move forward really quickly and use the wings to generate lift. Okay, Google how an airplane works. They're pretty similar across models. Okay, basically. Now helicopters, Helicopters generate lift with rotors. All right. That right away is like, what? Like right away. The difference I just described to you, if you're technical or mechanical in any way, shape, or form, that right away should tell you to slow down and think about what you're doing. Okay? Nothing's fixed in a helicopter. Okay? Okay, let me put this in a different way. There's no natural equilibrium to fall back on if something goes wrong with a helicopter. Like with a plane, if like, let's say you're like flying and like your engine stalls. You have gravity and you can use gravity for lift, right? You understand that. Okay. Because you can just start to move. Your airspeed's different, but you can like glide. What do you think happens in a helicopter, bro? Like, you understand? Like in a helicopter, you need active control just to make sure the system doesn't lose stability. Like when everything's working fine. Like when the rotors are turning, you need active control just to make sure everything doesn't completely freak out. It is just inherently more complicated to make a helicopter work correctly. And on top of all of that, what's like the biggest problem with that? It's piloted by a human. Oh, no. That's right. Also, there's tons of points of failure. You ever heard of something called the Jesus nut? Google it. Okay. No, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. Like okay, look, I'm not irrational in my fear of helicopters, and I don't really necessarily have a fear of them. I have a healthy respect and frankly, a little healthy skepticism of their safety record. Just doesn't seem like a great idea for me to get in a helicopter when I can get in a plane. Now, I will say, taking off vertically and landing vertically is awesome. And helicopters are cool. They're super fun to fly in. They're super fun to ride in. They're super fun to shoot from. I've done that. It's a blast. It's so fun. But you got to trust that pilot. You got to trust that equipment, just like anything, I guess, right? Just like any mechanical system. But you understand where I'm coming from when I tell you helicopters are terrifying, or maybe not even real. Even if someone told me, Leonardo da Vinci, I know he sketched a helicopter that was space magic, not even real. Helicopters aren't real. And the helicopter you flew in, that was a dream. I'd be like, okay, I buy that. Like I would not fight you on that. I'd be like, okay, I'm fine with agreeing with you that helicopters aren't real. Like that's how crazy I think they are. But for me, here's something. For me, a rocket ship, a rocket launching into low Earth orbit, to me, is a little less complicated than a helicopter. Because I understand thrust from that propellant burning. I understand that. I understand the stability is a little different too, but come on, man. Rocket goes up. Rocket comes down. All right. Question 561, sub-question 59. What was that thing? Who was that politician who was like, tide goes in, tide goes out, tide comes in. Can't explain that. Or something like that. Wasn't that like I don't know. Question 561, sub-question 59. What shooting event should be added to the Olympics? Well, they have biathlon, right? Isn't that when you're skiing and then you shoot rifle like a lunatic? That's awesome. I would say if it were me on the Olympic Committee, which God help you if it was, first of all, I would put powerlifting in the Olympics because we have weightlifting, so it only makes sense. And I would also add the press back to weightlifting, so you would have not only the snatch and clean and jerk, but also the press. But then we would also have powerlifting, the squat, bench, and deadlift. But for shooting, I would say suppressed MP5 golf ball shoot. So hear me out. You got to shoot golf balls on the ground. That's like the first stage. But also you have to shoot them flying through the air like skeet with a shotgun. But you have to do it with an MP5, and it has to be suppressed. Like clay pigeons, but with an MP5. And you have to use a silencer on the MP5. Okay? Those are the rules. You asked. Question 562, sub-question 60. How can I get thighs like yours? Okay, this is a devolving. how can I get that? Squat multiple days a week. That's probably the best way. I think that's the most efficient way to get large quads, at least, and also hamstrings. I don't know who you are or how you would know what my thighs look like, sir or ma'am. That's weird. But if you want solid quads and hams, squats are great. Please don't forget to deadlift to balance that out. Oh, also, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, the stiff leg deadlift for the hamstrings, very important. You could also do, if you really want to go ham, you could do some isolation exercises. Like you can do leg extensions, you can do leg curls, but I would always start with the basic compound lifts just to not put more pressure on your joints with the heavy extensions. But that's my best advice there, sir or ma'am. Please report back with your progress. Question 563, sub-question 61. How does material selection affect suppression rating for a given design? How does material selection? Funny enough, I just anecdotally speaking with a client about this. That's a great question. So the answer is it's not a huge change on the suppression rating typically. However, resonance and heat transfer are probably going to be the two greatest contributing phenomena that I could see making a difference. I have been told making a silencer out of copper, if you can believe that, can make it quieter. And I would say I believe it. It's not a stretch for me to believe that. I wouldn't say it's a stretch. Now, how noticeable the change is, I don't know. But it's not a stretch for me to believe it could be quieter. Now, is that due to some kind of resonance, due to a mass change? Is that due to heat transfer? I'm not 100% sure the contribution of both. I think it could be both. I think it would depend on the design too. You don't have a lot of time for the heat transfer, but you all know that heat transfer is happening. Look at HUXWRX silencers for the best intuitive example of that, obviously. That's a pretty important thing. It probably also depends on the type of combustion you're dealing with. That's a good question. I would say one reason this typically doesn't matter that much is because the geometries between the two versions of silencers are very similar a lot of times. When they're made of different materials, like Inconel and titanium, for example. But sometimes there are differences that we don't know as test engineers or analysts. We don't know because we haven't seen cutaways. Sometimes there might be little changes. And sometimes there could be things based on material, but tied to a certain geometry that would introduce maybe some artifacts to the signature we wouldn't expect. It's a good question. So I would say that's my long answer. I said my short answer would be not a huge change typically. Okay. And if there is, resonance would probably be the most common. Okay. That's late time. Questions 564, sub-question 62. Do you plan to add any test hosts in the future? If so, what are they and why? One moment. Great question, sir, ma'am. Yeah, we do. 14.5-inch SR25 chambered in 7.62 NATO. Some AK hosts with different barrel lengths, maybe. Some 45 ACP pistols. That's just a snippet of what will come. Baby steps, though. It's taking a bit. I'm sorry. It just is, okay? I was going to say I'm not going to apologize, but maybe I will apologize a little bit. But I'm not really sorry. I'm just telling you it takes a little bit. Now, these tests that I mentioned specifically, the reason why we're testing them is largely driven by two main factors. The first is client needs. The second is consumer demand. And we do here at Pew Science try to strike a balance between those two things. So we do our best. There is a stopgap, however, that you should be aware of. Everyone listening should be aware of. If we don't think it is going to add utility to the state of practice, and if we don't think it will be useful to people, we will simply not do things. And a corollary to that, if we think it will harm the state of practice, or if we think it will be unsafe, or if we think it will cloud judgment of people, we also won't do it. All that being said, we might still do it privately for clients, but we just won't publish it, type of thing. So just give you some background about how we steer the research. We try to be responsible in how we do it. Okay, great question. I hope those hosts are something you're interested in. Okay. Let's do one more. How much? It's almost 40 minutes. Yeah, and our intro was like 6 minutes, so this is good. About half an hour. Okay, final question for today. Question 565, sub-question 63. What do you think about the rifle speed adjustable gas block system? Oh man, that's a good question. Hey, you know what? I've actually never used them on my personal guns before. Actually, they look like they could be cool. Because you can have one sticking out of a handguard to reach it. So for that reason, I think they might be cool. Now, as far as build quality goes, and durability and longevity, like maybe accuracy of how the port aligns and the adjustments and the clickiness and all that stuff, I don't know. I really don't know. I would need time with them. And I remember when they came out, I just haven't messed with them. One drawback is also the same as with the positive I mentioned, the size of them. Sometimes I like small things that are out of the way, with regard to gas block. But maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be okay if it's tucked in there and you need to access it from the rail. I don't know. I'd have to play with them. I guess it's a give and take with this type of thing. But I have heard a lot of good things about them. People have told me that they work well, and I have no reason to doubt they're telling the truth about that, but you never know. I mean, people could just have that and not have other stuff. I know the superlative arm system, it's not perfect by any means, but I've used that on a lot of builds and I'm pretty comfortable with it. Maybe the rifle speed's better. I don't know. I'll have to try it. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and highlight that row and we'll come back to it next time we do this and save the spreadsheet and close it. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today. Please, if you're a Pew Science member, stay tuned for the morning time here. So in the morning at 0700, you will have brand new MP5 research, most in-depth you've ever seen. This is the first time we've done it on the MP5, so I love your feedback. If you like to make the MP5 quiet, this explains exactly what happens when you try. Tone, all that good stuff, okay? So all of you, thank you so much for your support. We're in our 5th year of operation, and we couldn't be more pleased with the progress and how great the community has been and the industry. Okay, so thank you so much. Please stay dry out there in this wet month of April, and I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.